Throughout the 2021 season, many different names have surfaced in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. You may have heard about Ben Simmons, Bam Adebayo, or even Draymond Green, but Rudy Gobert is the one true candidate that stands alone. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the defense of Gobert and break down not only what makes him the Defensive Player of the Year, but why he's a tier above the rest. A lot of people criticize Rudy for his limitations as a perimeter defender, but what those people don't realize is just how much more important rim protection is, even in today's NBA. The easiest shot in basketball is at the rim. Whether it's a layup or a dunk, it's far and away the highest percentage shot you can take in the sport. Let's look at some numbers. The league average percentage at the rim this season is 67.5%, or an average of 1.4 points per shot attempt. The league average 3-point percentage this season is 36.7%, or 1.1 points per shot attempt. This means that if you put the average team in a game and give them 100 shots from the rim, they would score 140 points. And if you gave that same team 100 shots from 3, just 110 points. Let's make it even more extreme by taking the best 3-point shooting team in the history of basketball, the 2021 Clippers. They shoot 41.4% from 3, which is 1.24 points per shot. For reference, the worst finishing team in the entire NBA, the Cavaliers, average more points per shot with 1.25. No matter how you spin it, rim protection is just more valuable than perimeter defense, as you're taking away the most efficient shot in basketball. As a result, Rudy Gobert has a defensive impact far greater than any other player this regular season. But now, let's talk about just how good he is defensively and what makes him so great on that end. One of the most overlooked aspects of defense is deterrence, which is essentially the presence of a strong rim protector driving attempts away from the paint. This is most noticeable when watching Rudy Gobert, his mere presence stagnating offenses and forcing difficult shots. Players will pass up on shots around the rim that they routinely attempt when Gobert is there. For example, on this one Rozier has a wide open layup, but Rudy just being in the general area forces Rozier to panic and pass it to the cutting LaMelo Ball, just for him to get rejected anyways. Sometimes it's more subtle, like a pass out instead of a drive, but sometimes it's very obvious, like this one where Gobert shuts down a fast break by just simply standing in the paint. When teams actually do test Gobert in the paint, it usually doesn't go well for them, and a lot of this is because of how disciplined he is as a rim protector. He almost never bites on pump fakes, and because of this, he's able to get a good contest on almost every shot attempted near him while having historically low foul rates. Gobert is currently second in the NBA in shots contested per game, while being just 66th in personal fouls, which is as insane as it sounds. Rudy Gobert's quick vertical leaps and absurd 7'9" wingspan allow him to connect with shots while they're at their apex, making for some pretty insane shot altering near the rim, and of course, he leads the league in blocks as well. Rudy's biggest improvements this season were with his footwork and his quickness, and this mainly helps him as a help side rim protector, able to quickly throw himself into potential slashing threats and just absolutely obliterate shot attempts. On this one, he rotates early to cut off the Giannis drive, then uses quick little hops to time the layup attempt off the Euro step. Because of his size, it only takes a couple steps for him to get from the 3-point line to the rim, and because he's so smart on that end, he rarely misses these opportunities, almost always in position to alter shots in the paint. This helps him when guarding the pick and roll as well. If he gets beaten off the dribble, he can still recover, and he can step out to guards occasionally and alter their shots as well. A few lowlights might have portrayed Gobert as a weak perimeter defender, but this just isn't true. He's more than comfortable switching out to the perimeter, using his length to run ball handlers off the 3-point line, and then turning it into a highlight. On this one, he's moving his hips back and forth like an elite perimeter defender, forcing Brogdon baseline where he can take care of business. Pay attention to just how well balanced he is. At 7'1", this level of body control is unheard of, backpedaling at full speed, getting in position to wipe this layup off the glass. Perimeter players are used to getting big centers switched onto them and setting up an isolation, but most of the time, Rudy gives them a rude awakening. Notice how Rudy doesn't even leave the ground until the ball leaves Bazley's hands on this one, yet he still rejects it. When players decide to test a shot over him as opposed to driving, he can usually get a strong contest, and of course, the occasional block, again using those quick leaps and absurd length to cover lots of ground. When he gets beat off the dribble, he can make up lots of ground very fast, making for some nice recovery stops and chase down blocks. On this play, he's caught out of position, but in just 2 massive steps, he's in the paint erasing this layup attempt. Here you can see Mitchell get lost on the cut, but this is the bonus to having the best rim protector on the planet watching your back at all times. Another bonus is that the Jazz perimeter defenders can swarm the 3-point line to prevent shots while not having to worry about recovering. Because of this, the Jazz have the #1 rim defense and #1 3-point defense in the entire NBA with Rudy Gobert on the floor, something that's never happened before, forcing teams to live in the mid-range, the most inefficient shot in basketball. One other area I'd like to touch on quickly are Rudy's improvements as a one-on-one defender, most notably in the post. He's gotten better at using his center of gravity to prevent post players from bodying him, and he uses his length to prevent easy looks at the basket. As a result, Gobert allows just 0.71 points per possession in isolation, putting him in the 83rd percentile as an isolation defender this season. It's pretty clear that when diving into the film, Rudy does so many things that impact the Jazz at a high level, and the numbers further support this. The Jazz have a negative 8.5 relative defensive rating with Rudy Gobert on the floor, ranking as the 4th best defense in NBA history. That falls to a plus 3.9 with Rudy Gobert off the floor, dropping to 28th in the current NBA, and giving Rudy the biggest defensive net on off swing of all time. On top of that, the Jazz have the #1 rim defense in the NBA with Rudy on the floor and fall to 29th with him off the floor, further showing the impact of an elite rim protector. Raw on-off data can be influenced by teammates and rotations though, so let's look at some of our most accurate impact metrics that adjust for those things. You can see some of the names that have been recurring around the Defensive Player of the Year debate: Bam Adebayo, Ben Simmons, Giannis, Draymond, Miles Turner, and shout out to Matisse Thybulle. You might be wondering where Rudy Gobert is. Well, we're going to have to expand the graph, because he's more than just an outlier, he's an absolute alien on the defensive end, making a complete mockery of defensive analytics. That's it for the Rudy Gobert in-depth analysis. I'll be dropping my All-NBA and All-Defensive teams as well as my NBA award picks soon, so make sure to subscribe and turn my post notifications on to be first on those. Also make sure to follow my Twitter at KGsGoat, Instagram at TheHoopVenue, and second YouTube channel HV to keep up with my other content. You can find those links in the description. If you want to join my Discord or become a YouTube member, those links will be in the description as well. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you agree and disagree with in this video and who you think the Defensive Player of the Year is. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.